Okay. All the learners are welcome to my class. This is the third class of BES 144, Pedagogy of English. So, two classes have already completed, and today we are going to discuss block 1 in this third class. Okay. So, dear learners, first of all, we know what is English. We know English is a language. Am I right? What is English? English is a language. Can you say English is treated as language number? Yes?
Second.
Anybody?
Second language.
Second language.
Second.
It is also an associate official language. Remember this term, associate official language of our country. What is the official language of our country?
Hindi.
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 So, in addition to Hindi, our constitution accepts English as an associate official language. So, any documents, the Constitution of India, any programs, any papers can available both in Hindi language as well as English language. Our constitution is also has been written both in Hindi as well as in English. Clear? So, as it is an associate official language and second language, another example I may like to cite here. When can a child get scope to learn English or to listen English? When a child get the chance or scope to listen English? When, at what age? Can you say? At what age a child get an opportunity to listen English, to learn English from the environment, from the society, or inside the classroom or anywhere? At what age the child get the scope or chance to learn English? Yes?
Early childhood.
Class.
Yes, Usarani. Repeat, Usarani.
Class 3 start karundi.
You are right in the context of our formal education. In our school, in government schools of our state, students are getting opportunity to learn English from class 3. You are right in that context. But in general, I ask, at what age the child get an opportunity to listen English?
Sir, 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Anybody? Anybody have any opinion?
Beginning, sir.
Yes,
sir.
beginning.
Very
Yes,
beginning.
good.
Yes.
Some problem is with your mic. Please correct it. There is a background sound. When you unmute, there is a background sound. Please check it. Okay. So Jagabandhu is right. From beginning, we are getting scope. Our children are getting scope to listen English. Can you give, anybody can give an example? Yes. Kei udaharan gote dei paribo ki? Anybody can give an example?
You listen some words like cycle, glass, TV.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Suryakanta, thank you. So now Suryakanta presented some examples like cycle. There is no term except English of cycle, any parts of also cycle, pedal, carrier, rim, tire, seat, bell, brake. At home, fan is there, TV is there, glass is there. Okay. So a common man having no education, formal education, a common man also talk all these items in English, use English words. Therefore, the child can get scope and opportunity to learn to listen English from beginning of his life, like mother tongue. So mother tongue is vividly used, but English is also used in different situations. Okay. So I like to discuss first of all, what is the nature of English as a second language? What is the nature of English as a second language? So here there is a point, that is nature of teaching. Nature of teaching means the child can learn the language, different language the child learns, but English is a specific language. The child gets different type of opportunity scope in formal educational system to learn English as a second language. And it is closely connected with need and motivation of the learners. So dear learners, you have bitter experience. Unless and until the child is not motivated, if he is not or she is not ready to learn, if we teach, the every time, the total time will be valueless. The time will not have a proof at value because the child is not ready. The child is not interested. So it is the common phenomenon. But English as a language, we are teaching, we are learning as second, and most of the teachers are not adopting or following the right approach or methods or techniques while teaching English, so that the result the result is negative. Therefore, first of all, give stress on motivation of the learner, and they have to understand what is the importance of learning English in their life, like getting employment, for higher education, for administration. If you go abroad in the search of employment, so without English you cannot get. So Odisha is not as it. Odisha is a state which cannot afford employment to all the citizens. Therefore, a learner of Odisha must move from Odisha to other states, other countries, in the sake of education, in the sake of employment, in the sake of business, or in any purposes. Therefore, that importance must be understood by the child. Then motivation is required. I have given here an example. You see the slide. That is, if a tourist guide of Odisha will not learn English, Hindi, or any other language like Bengali, most probably Bengali, he or she cannot prove better in his or her occupation, cannot earn good amount of money, because without knowing Bengali, cannot give guidance to the Bengali people. Without knowledge of English, cannot give guidance to the English, the foreigners. And without knowing Hindi, cannot guide the students, the people who are from out of Odisha and their mother tongue or language is Hindi. Therefore, to prove a good guideship career, a guide must have to learn English, Hindi, Bengali. Some guides are also learn what? Germany, Japanese, Italy, So different languages of different foreign countries. When the foreigners come visit to India, then those guide, they search of those guide, and the guide can earn good amount of money, so they can prove better in their profession, in their occupation. Okay. Another point is language is a means of discovery. You know, without language, we cannot go ahead. So language is essential for the life of the individual. Therefore, language is a means of discovery. What does it mean? The child gradually through language, the individual through language can discover himself or herself. And they can compare themselves with the world's need and requirement. Human urge is to express their thoughts and desires, which is derive the learning of a language. The learners or the individual read number of books in different language, so that they can gather better experience in their life. They can get exposure. Two things are there for exposure. One is listening, another is reading. So listening in English language, reading the books or written materials in English language gives optimum opportunity to the learners, to the individual, to explore themselves. Okay. Similarly, another point is focus on developing the natural functions of language of our learners. The natural functions of the learners. What are the natural functions? Who can say? What are the natural functions of the language? Yes? Anybody? Focus on developing natural functions of language of our learners. You see, while the learners are learning, automatically they listen to others, they listen in different situations which help to speak in English, they read different written materials in English which help them to write in English. So use of language is natural context helps everyone to acquire the language. Natural context means while we are teaching our students English, specifically English, the words and the terms in English should be used in, suppose, I just give you one example. If I want to convey the meaning of the phrase or the sentence, like, dear students, my purse doesn't permit to purchase that book. My purse doesn't permit to purchase that book. Another sentence may be told, I have no money to purchase that book. Out of two sentences, which sentence is better? Meaning is same, but which sentence is very better to us? Can you say?
First one, sir.
First. Okay. So while I want to put some concept or meaning of certain sentence or certain or any word, so in the context, in the right context, we should use that word. While we are teaching our students of 3, 4, 5, because the mother tongue is Odia, in the real context, we should use number of words which help them to develop their vocabulary, to improve their vocabulary. It is very important. While we are going through the Times of India or any news in English or any magazine in English, can we say the meaning of each and every word? Hmm? Can we say? I mean, while we are reading news in the newspaper, English newspaper, can you say the meaning of each and every word? Yes?
No, sir.
No. But can we understand or not? When we read the news, can we understand or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. 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 Everyone can understand. How it is possible? Though we do not know the meaning of every word, but we understand the news. Because in that context, we correlate what should be the meaning of the word. Therefore, we can generate an idea what is the meaning of this paragraph. Okay. Our learners should become an effective autonomous communicator. How? To listen, give stress on listening. Unless and until we are giving stress on listening, we cannot become an autonomous communicator. Suppose we will put a test of you to listen news, English news in television. After news, if you want to find out what percentage of understanding is there, so the among you who listen the English newspaper news in television regularly, his or her understanding will be high. Who are not regular listener, their understanding will be very poor. Yes or no? Are you agree with me or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why? Why? Because if you regularly listen, you can recognize the accent, the pronunciation. Then you can understand, try to understand. Then you will be put into the habit. When you open the television, you can understand like Odia news. But it will take time. Initially, be patient, have patience, and listen regularly. Then 3 or 4 months, 6 months after, you will be a good listener. Then you can become a good autonomous communicator. Without becoming a good listener, one cannot become an effective communicator. Remember it. One cannot become an effective communicator in English. So, becoming an effective communicator, you should be a very good listener and reader also. Jete sunibo padibo. It is very important. Then, English learning teaching situation in India. You see, diversity and disparity. What does it mean? As second language, whether the slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes. Diversity and disparity. Under this, there is a sentence. As a second language and medium of instruction, state government run schools, central government run schools are both Hindi and English medium. Like JNV, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Kendriya Vidyalaya, and other private schools are there which are affiliated to CBSE or ICSE. Yes or no? The medium of instruction is English, but in state government run schools, the government schools are medium of instruction is Odia. But others Vidyalayas in our Odisha, though those are run by state government, but the medium of instruction of those schools are only English. Only English, no Hindi is allowed. But which schools are running by central government, they use both Hindi medium and English medium. And certain private schools are also running with both medium, Hindi and English. NCERT 2005 gave focus on teaching proficiency. Another is availability of English in the environment. Remember, this is very important. One is teaching proficiency. What do you mean by teaching proficiency? Who can say? What is teaching proficiency? Yes, share your idea. What is teaching proficiency? Yes? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Proficiency means ability, effectiveness through ability. A teacher must have to well proficient first while transacting inside the classroom related to English subject. Proficient means he must or she must be able to speak correct English, to become a voracious reader in English language, text in English language, gather certain experience and skill and techniques how to present effectively before the learners, having the skill to become or to manage the classroom like the student-centered classroom as well as learning-centered classroom activities. So it is very important. Without pedagogic skills, without content knowledge, without skill of speaking, without transaction of teaching learning material in an effective way, a teacher may not become or prove himself or herself as a proficient teacher. This is very important. So NCERT 2005 gave focus on the teacher should become proficient before joining in teaching profession and teaching English classes. Another is availability of English in the environment. The child cannot learn English only in the transaction of a classroom, only learning the textbook which are supplied by Board of Secondary Education or in case of central schools, CBSE or ICSE. That is not sufficient enough. Only reading those books as per curriculum, the child never acquire the language English. So, availability of English in the environment is a must. Environment means surrounding of the child. The student who are learning, there is a comparison. The student who are learning in Adarsh Vidyalayas and living at night and holidays at home, but students who are learning in Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, in two types of schools are CBSE pattern schools. But can you say which school can afford better environment for learning English? Which school? Whether Adarsh Vidyalaya or Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya?
Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya.
Jawahar Navodaya.
Yes. What is the reason? What is the reason? Anybody?
Hostel facility.
Yes. The learners, please mute. The learners, they are residing in the campus. They talk with their friends, seniors, juniors, teachers. All are educated. All can communicate in English. And the morning assembly, evening assembly, other curricular activities, all are organizing with the using of terms, terminologies, words, and sentences, notice, everything in English. Other than textbook, classroom activity, whole day activity they are organizing through using English language. So there is a possibility of available of English in the environment more than the learners who are learning in others Vidyalayas in Odisha. Because 10 to 4, after 10 to 4, the others Vidyalaya students are living with you home. So frequently, father is talking in Odia, mother is talking in Odia, neighbors are talking in Odia. So no scope is there because the rural students are there. All the family members are not educated or not, though educated, they are talking in Odia. The availability of English is very, very poor in comparison to those schools in others Vidyalayas. So these two are very important for improving the learning of the learners. Another is multilingualism and language education. You see, national and state level curriculum shows sound pedagogical practices based on contemporary belief and research evidence. Now, Anganwadi is or pre-primary is merged with school education as per NEP 2020. Your pre-primary education in throughout the country, it is attached with school education. Why? Because research findings showed the brain development of a child, 85% brain development of a child can possible at the age of 5 to 6. So which is important? Now taking care of the children from birth to 6 years is very important for the state or for the government, for the parents. Therefore, central government decided we should give focus on those children during which period their brain can be developed, 85% brain can develop. That is important. Similarly, national and state level curriculum can be prepared as per research evidence and the contemporary belief. Mona ichha kehi kari paribe nahi. There must be an evidence. Basing on that evidence, basing on that proof, so steps should be taken for implementation. Follow eclectic approach in the classroom. Who can say what is the meaning of eclectic approach? Eclectic approach. Here is eclectic approach. Here is eclectic. Mark the arrow mark. I am showing in the slide. Eclectic approach. Anybody who can say what is eclectic approach? Yes. What is eclectic approach? Nobody? Oh, okay. Remember it. Eclectic approach is the approach when a teacher use different type of approach or method during classroom transaction as per need of the students. Suppose I am in class 9 teaching English. Some students are not followed or understood English language. What shall I do? So frequently I can use their mother tongue. That is translation method. Some students are better. So I cannot use frequently mother tongue. I can use rarely mother tongue. You can very judiciously use mother tongue when required. And some students are brighter. So mother tongue is not used for them. So all the examples, illustrations, all the discussions will be done in English to English. That is a direct method. So simultaneously in a classroom, as per the need of the different students, I can use different variety of techniques, approach, methods. That is known as eclectic approach. Got it? What is eclectic approach? Understood or not? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it means to go beyond methods and strategies and follow the method, approach and strategy as per suitability of learners' learning. Just I told you. So as per the need of the learner, suitability of the learner, we have to follow variety of methods and techniques. So a specific method cannot be fixed to teach the learners because our objective is how our students achieve the learning outcome. Remember it. It is our objective how our students achieve the learning outcomes. Our objective is not to fix on a specific method or approach to use inside the classroom. Our objective is to achieve the learning outcome of our learners. When the child can understand, when the child can be very practicable, be very usable, can be able to use, participate, share, then the child can achieve the learning outcome. The student's ability is different. If the student's ability is different, so common method, a same method cannot be used, may not be used for all the students because their ability is different. As per their ability, as per their necessity, variety of activities, variety of techniques, methods, approach are used simultaneously. ପିଲାଟା ମୋର କୋଉଥିରେ ବୁଝୁଛି କୋଉ ଟେକ୍ନିକ୍ I will use that for that child. My objective is to achieve the learning outcome by all the all the students of the class. Okay. So that is eclectic approach. Multilingualism relates to cognitive flexibility and scholastic achievement. So if I will use multilingualism, multi means more than one language. If I use inside the English class, so it will also help to improve the cognitive and scholastic achievement of the learners. Some studies focus on bilingualism. Just I told you, bilingualism. Bi means two. When the child cannot understand the word or there is no scope to convey the message, then and there I can use mother tongue of the child to pronounce the meaning of the word or term or any phrase. So when in an English class, the teacher of English use mother tongue should be very judicious. Very judicious. So frequently you should not use mother tongue. Okay. Then what are the status and nature of English language in India? One status is, just I told for the very beginning of the class, English is the associate official language. As a second language in school curriculum, English is a link language. So it develops the link between different state to state, communication of country to country. So link language. English is the language of the United Nations of organization. It is used throughout the world, so international language. English is also known as library language. It is the language of great resource and major window on the outside world. English is used for trade and commerce, and English language gives information about the world. Language of opportunity, and it is the aspiration of pupil for learning English. So most of the pupil at present context also interested to give English education to their children, because for employment, for education, for their better development in life. Language learning environment. What is language learning environment? You see, exposure to the target language is very limited. Exposure to the target language is very limited. Target language means English language. In our Odisha, in our state, you have experience because we all are from government schools background. Yes or no? Only
Yes, sir.
we are giving focus. Oh, yes, Suryakant, kon kahibo? Suryakant.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. In our school, you and I also, we are the outcome of our government schools. The mother tongue medium of instruction is Odia. In our school, the teachers who are taking care of the English language, they are not interested, they are not careful, giving the optimum exposure to the learners on target language. Only inside the classroom, as per the textbook, discussions, question answers are be done. Then we sit in an examination. After that, the English learning is over. Other than this, I have no experience if any other related activities are organizing or not. Have you any experience? What I told, except these, any more activity are organizing in our government schools in relation to English language learning? Anybody? If anybody have any experience, please share. So that is not sufficient exposure. So therefore I have written, exposure to the target language is very limited. So as a teacher of English, what should we do? As a teacher of English, what should I do? ମୁଁ ଏଠି ଦେଖୁଛି କିଛି ପିଲା ଲିଭ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତା ଅର୍ଥ ସେମାନେ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି, ଠିକ ଅଛି, ଲିଭ୍ କର, କିନ୍ତୁ our expectation is you should become a teacher and properly take care of the language of English. So this is a platform for us to share our experience. I learned from this class, you also learn from this class. So classroom interaction gives benefit not only students but also the teachers. Therefore I am taking different classes for learning purpose also. ମୁଁ କିଛି ଶିଖିବା ପାଇଁ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ନିଏ ସଦାବେଳେ. ଓକେ, ସୋ ଯାହାର ନେଟୱାର୍କ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଅଛି ଅନଦର, ସେ ନେଟୱାର୍କ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ को ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର ଥାଏ କି ନଥାଏ, but frequently some are just joining, just leaving, joining, leaving. So this is I am observing, though I am taking your class, I am observing who is leaving, who is joining, who is frequently leaving and joining. So this is no. You should devote 2 hours. In addition to your day-to-day life activities, you should sit calmly and quietly in the class, in the home, and listen and interact. and try to share your views, opinions, experience while there is a discussion in a classroom. Okay. So that will give you exposure. Unless and until being a teacher, I have no exposure, I cannot give you exposure. If you have no exposure, you cannot give exposure to your learners. So it is vice versa. Okay. Need to provide opportunity to the learners to experiment with the language. Need to provide opportunity to the learners to experiment with the language. Means our learning English inside the classroom is limited to inside the classroom, and it is limited to our examination. But there is no scope of our students how to experiment in their day-to-day life, in the community, in different occasions. In our college, I am working as in a government B.Ed college. But here, when we are organizing debate, elocution, essay writing, story writing in English, only 5 to 10 students out of 200 students, after few months they will become the high school teachers, but they are not able to participate in English related activities. Out of 200, participant number is 10, 9, 8. What is the pathetic condition? Just I am sharing with you. Because without exposure, they have no exposure, they are limited with the textbook learning. So dear students, textbook learning is not prove you as a good teacher of English, as an effective teacher of English. Similarly, your students cannot become a good. It is very important. Okay? So they should not be spoon-fed. Each and every error should be corrected. Self-correction and peer correction habits should be developed. If these activities are there in your classroom, then you can say you are providing learning environment, language learning environment. So more exposure is giving other than book. Give the opportunity to the students to experiment with the language. They should not be spoon-fed. Spontaneous reader, we should help them to become the spontaneous reader or learner. Every mistake or wrong should be corrected, and give importance or focus on self-correction and peer correction, so that we can say language learning environment is there inside the classroom. आमे जेते अच्छे एठी बर्तमान किए सब टीचर अच्छ सरकारी स्कूल टी कहल जी अच्छ निश्चित इंग्लिश पढ़ौथिबो ना पढ़ौन जो माने हम अच्छे यस स्मृति रंजन साहू पढ़ौछ रेडी ओके आउ के पढ़ौछ
मो पढ़ौछ
मानस सेठ ओके मानसी रश्मिता ओके जेहेतु तुमरो इंग्लिश मेथड अछि बीएड रे जो माने सरकारी स्कूल रे बा प्राइवेट स्कूल रे चाकरी करथिबो निश्चित इंग्लिश पढ़ौथिबो बिकॉज़ यू आर फ्रॉम आर्ट्स बैकग्राउंड तुम क्लास रे एई गुडा को अछि कि निजे मते कहलो टिके अनम्यूट करी को जणे दे कथा हुआ एई जो कहली कैरेक्टरिस्टिक गुडा अछि कि एनीवन यस
ସବୁ ନାହିଁ ସାର୍
सब नाही आज परठारु सब आसीबो कि मते कथा दियो कमिटमेंट कर आमे चेष्टा करबा ना नहीं
ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା ସାର୍
yes very good very good very good so these are the very important activities then we can say our classroom is continuing with the language learning environment. The need of teaching English. Identify the requirements of the various groups of students and support they as per their need. Different students have different need. Who wants to become a lawyer? So learning English is language English is very important to become a lawyer, to become an IAS officer or any allied service or engineer or doctor or scientist or journalist or any or any professional field, join in any professional field in a higher education. If you want in software engineer, in any field, if you want to go abroad. So language English is important for everybody. Make language learning sensitive and responsive. Develop the interest of learners and motivate them for learning. Increase language learning environment. Okay. So here is a formula. You see the formula. Acquisition means formal learning plus learning at home or peer learning, learning in the environment. That is rich environment. Acquisition with poor environment, limited the classroom, textbook and teacher. That I told you now. ताले एबे मते कुह आमे कोठी हेबे अच्छे acquisition with rich environment रे अच्छे ना acquisition with poor environment रे अच्छे where are we now? Yes,
Acquisition rich environment.
we are in rich environment. Formal learning plus learning at home or peer learning, learning in the environment known as acquisition rich environment. Limit if our learning of English is only classroom activities,
No, sir.
textbook and
No,
teacher.
sir. Acquisition poor environment रे अछंती.
Yes, very good. You are right. So we are in acquisition poor environment. We will try our best to reach at acquisition at rich environment. It is very important. Okay. So then NCF 2005 stated these objectives of teaching English. One is to develop competency to understand what the learners hears. What we hear, the learners hear, they can able to understand. To develop the ability to read with the comprehension. Only reading the book is not important. During reading, one can comprehend, understand what is the sentence, what is the paragraph, what is the topic. To develop the effortless expression, that is logical, analytic, and creative expression must be there. To develop the skill of a coherent writing. Coherent writing means organizing thoughts coherently. Control over different registers like situation, occasion. To develop scientific study of language. To develop increased creativity. To develop sensitivity. These are the different objectives of teaching English as per National Curriculum Framework 2005. Okay? Then, now we can discuss. Now, Unit 1 is over. That we discussed, that was Unit 1. If anybody has any doubt in Unit 1, then ask. You may ask now. Then we go for Unit 2. Okay. So, Unit 2 is language learner. Unit 2 is language learner. Language occurs natural process and planned formal instruction. Natural process, everyday life. We listen to others. We share our views, opinions, listen our different people's talks in our environment, in classroom, in the school, in any or activities in the community. So it is related to day-to-day life. That is natural process. Another is planned formal instruction. Planned formal instruction is in the school, in the English class. Even if in mathematics class, we are also learning English. Yes or no? In science
Yes,
class,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Different terms like addition, subtraction, in science, in history, number of terms we are also listening, reading. That is planned formal instruction. Through natural process and planned formal instruction process, the students acquire language ability. Child relates factors which influence learning. Child related factors also influence learning. Child related factors means if the child is interested in any activity to participate, then automatically, and now different examinations are there, just competitive examinations are there in from every class. That is just I have forgotten. In every subject. कौन सेटा कौचे भूलीगली परीक्षा पिला सब क्लास दौना मैथमेटिक्स दौरान इंग्लिश सोशल साइंस इन एवरी सब्जेक्ट साइंस just I have forgotten. So due to child related factor, the child also influence the learning. Jug and mug model of teaching. Jug and mug model of teaching means teacher's input, that is known as jug, child is mug, jug and mug. No correct, but what child brings to class is important. Jug and mug means teacher's input is jug and child is mug. That is known as jug and mug model of teaching. So the teacher gives input. Two types of inputs are there. One, the teacher will ask question and say the answer. But another is when ask questions, facilitate the child, they have to generate the answer. Which is important? First or second?
Second.
Second is important. So, own experience of child and self-involvement help the child for learning in the classroom. So, always the teacher should be a facilitator to remain engaging, to make the child engaged, to think, to share, to feel, and that learning will be real life experienced learning, and that will remain forever in the mind of the child. So another is the student's readiness for new lesson. Just I have told you or any class, I secured very poor mark in English in my HSC examination. In my high school certificate examination, I secured very poor mark in English. But I secured 90% above in compulsory and optional paper of mathematics, because during our time, optional was there. I had mathematics optional in 10th class. So mathematics optional was 100 mark, compulsory mathematics was 100 mark. In both the mathematics paper, I secured more than 90, but in English, I secured very poor mark in English. Can you guess what should I secure? Anybody? What may be my securing mark in English in HSC examination? Can you guess?
Below 50. Below 50,
Below 50.
sir.
Okay, below 50. Anybody?
30 marks.
Yes, Dolly, again?
30 marks.
30 mark. Okay, that was pass mark. Okay.
Sir, 31
Anybody?
କହିଥିଲେ।
Oh, ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି କି? ଆଚ୍ଛା, 31. It is only due to my, just I told you, what? Students' readiness for new lesson. The teacher who taught us English in our high school 3 years, class 8, 9, 10, In a single class, he finished 2 topics at a time. Consecutively, he took English class 2 or 3 periods and completed 2 topics. So children were not ready to learn English. So that learner should be ready for learning. It is very important. If the learner is ready for 10 minutes learning, oh yes, you have to do that activity for 10 minutes. No problem. Interest and motivation for school work. Lack of intensive individual attention to each child. Creating and maintaining a supportive social climate in classrooms. So the supportive climate is very also another important factor of learning of the learners. Learner characteristic also influence the learning, like general scholastic ability, language learning aptitude. 2 things are there. One is general scholastic ability. What is it? The test measures mental quality and ability is called a scholastic aptitude, and that is also known as general scholastic ability of the child. That is all-round development of a child. Another factor is language learning aptitude. One is MLAT, Modern Language Aptitude Test. Another is PLAB, Pimsleur Language Aptitude Battery. These are the 2 tests. Standardized tests are available in the market. ଏଇଥିରେ ଆମେ ପିଲାଙ୍କର ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ଲର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ଆପ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁଡ୍ ଜାଣିପାରିବା ଏବଂ ଜେନେରାଲ ସ୍କଲାଷ୍ଟିକ୍ ଆବିଲିଟି ଦୁଇଟା ଯାକ ଯଦି ଆମେ କମ୍ବାଇନ୍ କରିବା, then we can say these are the characteristic of learners characteristic that influence learning of the child. Learning styles and preferences. Teaching style plus learning style is equal to better achievement. Teaching style means using different tools, techniques, materials. The teacher will present the teaching learning material, and the learner will learn. If that style will be innovative, then automatically better achievement can be the result. Then functions of sense organs, because related to language, the role of sense organ is very important, like listening. So your ear should be function in proper way. Visualizing, seeing, eye should be function properly. Feeling. So TLM, models, charts, maps, worksheets, diagrams, etc. Auditory, audio, teacher's language, etc. Then tactile, touch, demonstration, role play, total physical response, TPR. So listening, seeing and feeling, that is visual, auditory and tactile, that is through touch. Learning can possible and achievement can possible in better way. Whole or part focused learning. So general idea is there, abstract idea is there, the different thoughts are there. So always we move from sometimes part to whole and sometimes whole to part. Inductive and deductive learning. So when think about the teaching of English grammar, so these 2 methods should be followed, inductive and deductive. Then convergent thinking and divergent thinking. Convergent means one way thinking, divergent various ways. In different ways we have to think, that is divergent thinking. So child should be given focus on that. Feelings, emotions, social interactions, these are the different other characteristics for learning of the children. ଯଦି ଏ ସମସ୍ତ ଦିଗ ଗୁଡାକୁ ଆମେ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ନ ଦେବା, ପିଲାର ଲର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ହବ ନାହିଁ. Another very important things are there, just we are going to discuss. One is extraversion and introversion. What is it? Active, energetic, talkative and friendly. This is known as extraversion and introversion. The learner should become active, remain active, always active, energetic. talkative. Unless you become talkative, so you cannot share your views, opinions. Friendly. Always we should become friendly. So friendly approach can develop our learning. Openness and close-minded. Curious, imaginative, original, interest. These are known as related to openness and close-minded. Openness, those students, those learners who can express their views. ମୁଁ ଏଠି ତମକୁ ପାଠ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ ପଚାରୁଛି, ଜଣେ ଦି ଜଣ ତିନି ଜଣ ତମେ କହୁଛ, those you are open minded. ଯୋଉମାନେ କହୁନ ଖାଲି ଶୁଣୁଛ ଚୁପଚାପ, you are close minded. So always you become as a teacher open minded, automatically your learner will be open minded. So unless open mind is there, you can express your curiosity, imaginative activities, originality, and you cannot focus your interest for your development. Consciousness and undirectedness. That is known as organized behavior, manner, and reliable. Reliable, reliable. Another personality disposition is agreeableness, antagonism, that is good nature, kind, trust, appreciative. जार जे को काम करता को हमें appreciate करते हैं, पसंद करते हैं, appreciative. Neuroticism, that is stability, anxious, insecure, get upset easily, self-pity. Teacher should know habitual style of children. Every teacher knows what is the habit of the child, every child. So behave and treatment should be done accordingly. As per need of the child, as per the habit of the child, we should give the treatment. We should show our behavior to those people accordingly. Then this personal disposition help the teacher how to deal with the students in different ways. Then another is multiple intelligence. Like psychologist Howard Gardner, 1983, he has first brought this idea that is multiple intelligence. It is related to 7, like logic, mathematical, linguistic, bodily, kinesthetic, musical, spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal. Okay. Logical thinking and problem solving are another two important activities. Logical thinking and problem solving. So what we think, that should be based on certain scientific reason, certain fact, and accordingly our thoughts should prove the problem, helpful to solve the problem. Then flexibility in the curriculum. While we think about the curriculum of the learners, so curriculum should be flexible on own thoughts, feelings, and needs of the learners. The curriculum should be prepared. So curriculum of Anugol may be different from the curriculum of Sambalpur because the need of the students are different. The curriculum of the urban children may be different from the curriculum of the rural children. That may be different from the tribal children, but need and requirement, feelings, experience is different. So curriculum should be flexible and it should be fixed up as per sex, as per age, as per physical development and health. So standard curriculum is there. BSc, CHSC, university prepare different curriculum for different subjects. That is standardized curriculum. Active participation, independent thinking, independent involvement, and economy of management system is very essential. So in all these aspects, flexibility must be maintained. Without flexibility, if we follow the rigidity principle, so that may not help our learners to acquire better achievement in English language. In other language or in other subjects also, but related to English language, we should be flexible also. Unit 3, it is very important. This is all about approaches, methods, and teaching techniques in English language teaching. So first method is grammar translation method. It is the oldest method. Can you say what is grammar translation method? Because this method you have also learned in your DLED or city course. Just one share your views. What is grammar translation method? Yes, anybody?
To explain or describe the topic using mother tongue.
Yes, very good, Sangeeta. Any other? Yes. Okay. The basic concept just I have written here. You see, every word, phrase, and sentence is to be translated into mother tongue of the child. Okay. First letter, then word, and after that sentence. This is the focus of this method. It helps for learning the meaning of words, phrases, sentence, and English grammar in mother tongue of the child. The advantages are, it is very easy method, both for teacher and pupil. In my language, I say both for poor teacher and poor pupils. Okay, it is easy method. No TLM is required, no material is required, no rigorous preparation is required for the teacher. So the meaning you will tell in mother tongue of the child, so automatically they can understand. It is a time saver method. It makes the work of teacher easy. It is more economical, helps the poor teacher and poor learners, require few TLM, helpful for learning grammar, memorization, easy to explain abstract words. Okay, these are the advantages of this method. But the major disadvantages are, it ignores natural ways of learning of the children. It neglects the speech or speaking ability of the learners, so that a learner cannot become a good speaker. For this reason, I lose 2 PSC examinations in civil service. At Viva level, I secured very poor marks. Initially, during my college life, it is my own experience. So, suppose I learnt in English medium schools, automatically that was helped me to click in the civil service examinations. Okay, this is my own experience. So you have also number of experiences. It ignores natural ways of speaking, passive mastery, loss of free expression, word for word translation, no scope for originality, rules of grammar, uninteresting, use of mother tongue, makes a child dull in speaking English. So speaking skill never increase. It is very important. Next is direct method. So it is the just opposite of grammar translation method. This method is known as reformed method or natural method. बेले बेले आसे क्वेश्चन रे डायरेक्ट मेथड न पके से रिफॉर्म मेथड पके दबो कि नेचुरल मेथड पके दिबो दैट इज डायरेक्ट मेथड ओके at the end of 19th century this method came into existence teaching English directly no mother tongue is used association between expression and experience scope for thinking in English feeling in English is very important establish bond between thought and expression what the child thought and that should be expressed enable to develop real command over language direct bond between word and ideas oral teaching minimum use of mother tongue here sentence as the unit of speech inductive teaching of grammar use appropriate LM objects map charts etc oral communication skill may be improved repetition and reinforcement, dealing of words, focus on listening and speaking is given in this method, that is direct method. Okay? So, using action, gesture, posture, we have to manage our classroom activities. Fluency of speech, use of audio visual aids, command over language, increase direct bond, accuracy of pronunciation of any word and sentence. These are the merits or advantages of this method. But demerits are time consuming, it will take more time. Expensive, when you prepare chart, map, TLM, so it is expensive. Cannot use properly by poor teachers. The teachers who are proficient, they can use it very well. Poor teachers, just having a B.Ed degree, you become the teacher in art subject. So headmaster allotted you the teach the English subject. So those teachers cannot handle it using direct method. Lack of environment, ignore the nature of pupils. All words, phrases cannot explain in action, gesture, posture, and using different charts, maps, and TLMs. Okay, these are the demerits of this method. Here is a difference between direct method and translation method. That is, direct method is demonstrate, translation method is translate. Direct method is act, it is explain, act by students, explain by teacher. This is correct, it is imitate mistake, it is use of sentence, speak singly word, make students to speak, teachers speak more. Indirect method is related to learner-centered approach. Translation method is related to teacher-centered approach. Okay. Another method is the reading method. That is Michael West, the principal of training college in Dhaka and director of education in pre-partition Bengal. Before pre-partition Bengal, he was the director of education, Michael West. He advocated this method. The method is reading method. According to him, or according to this method, stress is given on reading. Silent reading is the key of proficiency. Vocabulary is the essential component of reading proficiency. Acquisition of vocabulary is very important. Okay. You may take the screenshot of this. जोड़ा देखो जी screenshot नहीं जाई पारा. These are the advantages. Like helps to develop reading ability, focus on self activity, that is oral and silent reading. Through reading helps for comprehension, reading helps for making reading and writing easy, no much stress on phonetics, free from overload of grammatical rules, the use of mother tongue at a time students feel at home, learn only correct forms of English. It helps to increase the vocabulary of the learners. It is an economical method in terms of time and money. It helps for reading books, text of other language also. Certain disadvantages are so there. You may take this screenshot of this. Okay. According to him, reading ability are two types. One is oral reading, another is silent reading. Oral reading is meant for developing or improving pronunciation and speech, and silent reading is very important for understanding or comprehension. You see, today the linguists, after research, the linguists who are the caretaker of English language decided and have been giving training to the students. There is no oral reading now. Focus is on silent reading. In traditional lesson plan, oral reading or reading aloud was there, but now in the 5B model lesson plan, only silent reading is there, not reading aloud is placed in the lesson plan. Okay, this is the but this method kept stress on both oral reading as well as silent reading. Oral reading was meant for improving pronunciation and speech, and silent reading is meant for comprehension or understanding. It is very important. Vocabulary, book reading. New words and phrases are equally distributed over the pages. Vocabulary is not technical. Repetition of words to make familiar. Again, if you repeat the words, automatically it will become familiar to you all. Use picture to explain. Mother tongue is frequently used. Don't explain grammatical rules. Use long stories to read. These are the techniques of book reading according to this method. Another method is the audiolingual method, that is spoken skill and habit formation. Audiolingual method. You may, if you want to take this screenshot, what is audiolingual method? Take this screenshot. Have you taken this screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then
Yes, sir.
another. Then you also take screenshot. Other methods like substitution table method, project method, inductive deductive method, bilingual method are also different methods. So as the time is very limited, only 2 hours, another different topics are there to discuss. Time is very short. So these are the other methods. This is here, and a difference between bilingual method and grammar translation method is very important. You have to understand it. Difference between bilingual method and grammar translation method. Under bilingual method, use mother tongue is a restricted manner. In bilingual method, so mother tongue will be used judiciously. Where it is judiciously used, very necessity, at the time of necessity. But in grammar translation method, mother tongue use is excessive. Here in bilingual, teacher uses mother tongue to explain meaning. But here both pupil and teacher use mother tongue. Most practice in the drill of a sentence in English in bilingual method, but in grammar translation, no practice in the drill of sentence in English. In bilingual, improved method of teaching English, it is not improved. Grammar translation method is no improvement. In bilingual, more practice on speaking English. Grammar translation, very less practice in speaking. In bilingual, more suitable. Grammar translation, not suitable. Okay, these are the difference between bilingual method and grammar translation method. These are the approaches. These are the approaches. The structural approach is there. Structural approach is also known as oral approach. It was developed by Charles Frey. Charles Frey. Remember it. Structural approach is known as oral approach. Okay? Screenshot नहीं जाओ. Take this screenshot. So, apply the principles of behaviorism in psychology and structural linguistics of language teaching is very important, this approach. Mastery of structure is more important than the acquisition of vocabulary. The different arrangements or patterns of words are called structures. Different types of structures are there here. Sentence pattern. There are 2 books on the table. This is a sentence, complete sentence. It is known as sentence pattern structure. Phrase pattern, that is a word or group of words like on the desk. On the desk is a structure. With a knife is a structure. It is a phrase pattern structure. Formulas like good morning, thank you. These are the may I come in, sir? May I go out, sir? These are the formulas. These are the formula which are also structures. Idioms. Born with a silver spoon at the 11th hour. These are the example of idioms. So these are also the structures. These are the different types of structures. So while a teacher transact all these structures before the students, he or she should think more, and relevant examples should be taken up. Therefore, when make it a practice of the students again and again, automatically the students can able to deal to understand the meaning of the structure, and they can learn the skill how to use this structure in different situations in the life. This is very important. Another important thing is selection of a structure. Selection of structure is based on the characteristics. What are those? Usefulness, both in written form and spoken form. Usefulness is very important. How you can use, that is very important. Another is simple. Always take the simple examples. Another is teachable. If this is meant for class 5 students, we should use it for class 5 students or class 4 students or class 6 students. Not it is should be used in higher classes or class 1 and 2 classes. Level of learner. The learner's level is taken into consideration. Another is create situations like gesture, posture, action, pictures, charts, maps, diagrams, using the blackboard or a smart classroom, smart board, or audiovisual aids or projector. So number of activities is related to all these. So while we are teaching structures, the techniques are oral work and drill and frequent use. This is very important. Oral work and drill and frequent use is very important. 275 graded structures are there. 3000 root words are there. After 6 to 7 years of learning, one must have to acquire 275 graded structures and 3000 root words. जदि एतक जड़े एक्वायर न करि पारिछि ताहले तार लैंग्वेज इंप्रूवमेंट डेवलपमेंट हेइति बोले हम कहबा बुझियला अरे बुझिलो नहीं 6 to 7 years of learning 6 to 7 years of learning re one have to acquire what 275 graded structures. Graded structure I gave you the examples. What are the graded structures? Okay, 3000 root words. This is very important. So emphasis is given on speech and oral work. Oral work, given on oral work, speech, practice, drill, that helps for habit formation. Now take the screenshot of all these advantages and disadvantages. Take the screenshot. Neloki? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And another approach is communicative language teaching approach. Communicative language teaching approach. Another approach. Structural approach was there. One. This is communicative language teaching approach. It is a learner centered. This approach is learner centered. This was developed in USA and Europe in the year 1970. United States of America and Europe. And it gives focus on active participation of learners. It gives focus on active participation of learners. Pair work and group work is very important in this approach. Pair work and group work. Teacher's role as facilitator, organizer, guide, monitor, manager, and counselor. Fluency over accuracy is very important. Okay, just I am giving an example. Suppose a stranger will come to us and ask us the way to railway station. What shall I answer? What shall we answer generally? Hello, brother. This is the way to the railway station. You go along this road and you will reach at railway station. This is our answer. But in foreign countries, for the same question, they will answer. First they will question. We generally ask, dear brother or hello brother, please show me the way to the railway station. But in foreign countries, they can say, brother, why railway station? Why railway station? Why railway station? They cannot complete, they cannot speak complete sentence. They speak the words and phrases which can help them. He wants to know the way to the railway station, therefore they can show this is the way. This one. Answer is this one. But we are giving focus of our energy. We spend our energy, but they cannot spend energy. They very easily speak. That I told, not the utterance grammatically correct. Hello, kindly show me the way to the bus stop. Way to bus stop is enough. Way to bus stop is enough. One can understand and can say, oh, the way, where is the bus stop is. So here we can use the materials like text-based, task-based, authentic material. Text-based means textbook is there. Related to text, material should be used. Task-based means activities are there, assignments are there, experiments are there. These are the tasks, experiments, assignments, activities. As per these, the material should be prepared and used inside the classroom. Authentic materials, if there is a snake, so picture should be real like a snake or model should be real like a snake. As per text and task, material should be prepared and used inside the classroom. Otherwise, it will make puzzle of the learners. Then, humanistic approach. What is humanistic approach? What is humanistic approach? By Maslow, 1970 and Rogers, 1961. Used in education and psychology. In both field, education field and psychology field, this method, humanistic approach was used. It is against teacher-centered classroom. It is focused on child-centered classroom. Respect to learner's own experience and knowledge. According to this method, learner's own experience and knowledge is very important. Transaction as interested of the learners, as per interest of the learner, transaction must be carried on. Learner's autonomy, self-discovery, and critical thinking are very important aspect of this method. Correction work and teachers' work or role is just like the facilitator. They are not the master, they are the facilitator. Different techniques have to follow. One is community language learning. Charles Koran advocated this. Community language learning is very important technique. It is a counseling therapy. This community language learning is related to counseling therapy. 6, in circle and talk naturally. Teacher helps for utterance correctly and appropriately. Learner repeats, similarly goes on. Teacher gives the correction, then learner repeat it again and again. Practice work is there. Then recorded the conversion of and replayed at the end of the class. When the practice is going on, that should be recorded in a tape recorder or any mobile phone. Then it will be played after the class, so that the learner can realize himself or herself what is the fault is there. It is based on interest of the learners, not syllabus. So syllabus is not enough. So as per interest of the learner, these activities should be organized. So role of the teacher is here just a resource person. Assist students. Learner, teacher, different points method. Approach. Another approach is total physical response. total physical response, that is TPR.
Sir,
Experimental
PPT,
psychologist,
sir,
Sir,
PPT
slide
show
show
करूँ.
करूनी sir.
how many say?
Slide show
One minute.
करूनी sir.
1 minute, 1 minute. ମୋ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଅଛି। whether my voice is audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Voice sir audible but
Yes,
PPT
sir.
not.
Yes, sir.
ये कौन है ला लिखुची you lost your network connection trying to reconnect.
सर
network
वॉइस
connection
ब्रेक
ଅଛି?
ହଉଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କର ନେଟୱାର୍କ ବି ରହୁନି ଭଏସ
Okay,
ବ୍ରେକ୍
ଏବେ show ଦେଖ now see whether the PPT is visible.
No sir.
No, sir.
Not now visible.
No sir.
You see now. Okay,
No, sir.
just move. Only.
No sir.
Okay, okay. Is it visible now?
No sir.
Yes, I am.
No,
also.
sir.
No. How is
No,
it
sir.
possible? It is visible to me in my laptop. You see again.
No sir.
What is the problem? Just yes, again I am presenting again. Okay, wait. Is it visible now?
No sir.
No, sir.
Perhaps I think data have been finished. Data complete ହେଇଗଲେ PPT show ହେଇପାରିବନି କି? ଭଏସ ଟା ମୋର ଅଡିଓ ହଉଛି ତ ଠିକ ରେ?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ହବା କଥା ତ? କଣ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହବ?
ସେ ମେ ବି ନେଟୱାର୍କ ଇସୁ ନହେଲେ ଡାଟା ସରିଯାଇଛି ଡାଟା ସରିଲେ ବି ଶୋ ହବନି
ଓ ଡାଟା ସରିଲେ ବି show ହବନି ତ?
ନା ଭଏସ ବି
ସେ
ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ସେତେ କ୍ଲିୟର ହଉନି
କେମିତି ମାନେ ଶୁଭା ଯାଉଛି?
ଭଏସ ବି ସେତେ କ୍ଲିୟର ହଉନି ଡାଟା ସରିଯାଇଛି କିମ୍ବା ନେଟୱାର୍କ ଇସୁ ଦିଟା ଭିତରୁ ଯାହା ଗୋଟେ
ନେଟୱାର୍କ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ
Okay. How, just 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, just we discuss, 10 minutes, then we will close. Okay, thank you. Total physical response, you know, experimental psychologist James Asher advocated this first, that is total physical response. When language acquisition is there, command, instruction, and physical action is very important. Suppose I will say sit. When I will speak sit and physically sit, then child will say, so sit means sit. Stand and dance, dance, run, run. These are the facts.
ଭଏସ ବ୍ରେକ୍ ହଉଛି।
ଭଏସ୍
problem
କ୍ଲିୟର
ହେଲା ଓକେ
ଶୁଭୁନି ସାର୍।
ଡାଟା ସରିଯାଇଛି ସାର୍।
ଡାଟା ଗଲା ତେଣୁ ଆଜି ଆମେ ରଖିଦବା ଓକେ